It was a beautiful day at the beach, and everyone was enjoying the warm sun and the sound of the waves crashing onto the shore. The beach was crowded with people, young and old, all there to have a good time. But little did they know that something sinister was lurking beneath the sand, waiting to strike. One by one, people started disappearing. It was as if they had been swallowed up by the sand. No one knew what was happening, and everyone was scared. The beach was quickly deserted, and the sound of the waves was replaced by an eerie silence. A group of friends, consisting of Sarah, John, and David, decided to investigate. They had heard rumors about a monster that lived in the sand, and they were determined to find out if it was true. They armed themselves with shovels and started digging. As they dug deeper and deeper, they suddenly heard a strange noise coming from beneath the sand. It sounded like a growl, but much louder. They froze, unsure of what to do next. Suddenly the sand started to shift, and a massive creature emerged from beneath the surface. It was unlike anything they had ever seen before. It had huge, razor-sharp teeth and tentacles that writhed and thrashed about. Its eyes glowed red in the sunlight, and its body was covered in a thick, slimy substance. The friends were paralyzed with fear as the monster lunged at them. It was like something out of a nightmare, and they knew that they were in grave danger. They tried to run, but it was too late. The monster was upon them, and it was hungry. Sarah was the first to go. The monster grabbed her with one of its tentacles and pulled her towards its gaping maw. She screamed for help, but it was no use. The monster bit down hard and Sarah was gone. John and David tried to fight back, but it was like trying to fight a hurricane. The monster was too powerful, and it seemed to be getting stronger with each passing moment. They watched in horror as it devoured more and more people, its appetite seemingly insatiable. They soon realized that they were the only ones left. The beach was completely deserted, and the only sound was the sound of the monster's breathing. They knew that they had to come up with a plan, or they too would end up as its next meal. They decided to try and bury the monster alive. They dug a massive pit in the sand and lured the creature towards it. It was a risky plan, but it was their only hope. As they frantically shoveled sand onto the monster, covering it up completely, they knew that their plan was their only hope. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the deserted beach. John and David worked as fast as they could, trying to bury the creature alive before it could escape. As they shoveled, they heard a strange noise, like a whisper. It was almost as if the sand itself was alive, as if it were trying to tell them something. They tried to ignore it, but the sound grew louder and louder, until it was almost deafening. Suddenly, the ground beneath them started to shift. The sand began to move like waves, rising up and engulfing them. They all screamed for help, but no one came. They were trapped and buried alive. As they struggled to break free, they felt something cold and slimy wrap around their legs. It was the monster with the limbs stuck on its body from the other victims. It had returned for revenge. They tried to fight it off, but it was no use. The monster was too powerful, and it seemed to be getting stronger with each passing moment. As the creature dragged them deeper into the sand, they realized that they were not alone. They could hear the screams of the other victims, trapped and buried alive just like them. The sand had become a tomb, and they were all doomed to spend eternity beneath its surface. Redness was everywhere. Like the sea turned into a bloodbath, all they could see and smell was fresh blood. They struggled and fought, but it was no use. The monster was too strong, and it seemed to be enjoying their suffering. They could still hear the sound of the monster's roar echoing in their minds. They knew that it was still out there, waiting for its next victim. They knew that they were going to die. And they closed their eyes, waiting for their final ending.